But I want to give you a quick story before I continue. I got requested to go up north in Wisconsin Dells to do a presentation. And it was for a conference around youth work professionals. And I'm like, yeah, I did youth work for like 5 or 6 years. I have great content from that experience that I've leveraged to continuously do youth work and to teach others. I got this, let's go. I had gone to the conference before, maybe 2 years before. And so I felt like I had known the audience. And so I get there and I am holding the microphone. I got my presentation together and I am going in, y'all. I'm talking about how youth workers can use after-school programs to really engage multiple young people in a group setting. And it's good to me. It's good to me. And then somebody raises their hand with a bit of concern on their face. And she asks me, she says, are you ever going to get to how caseworkers work with individual young people aging out of foster care? And I looked around the room. I wasn't talking to youth work professionals in after-school settings with groups. My audience was youth work professionals who were caseworkers, specifically for young adults who had just aged out of foster care. You see the point I'm making here? I was prepared to talk to them about groups, young people who volunteered their time looking to be leaders in their community. That's what my content was about. They needed somebody who could teach them exactly how to engage an individual young person one-on-one who specifically had the experience of aging out of foster care. I know a little bit about foster care. I understand that young people who age out have higher risk of a lot of things going wrong afterward because they may not have gotten that support upon transitioning into adulthood. And I know that that experience that they have being in foster care really does shape how you have a conversation. I didn't have relevant examples for them because I failed to answer the first question. Who will be participating in this learning experience? So I want to take a pause here and encourage you to stop taking for granted. Don't be like me. Don't take for granted that you already know your audience. Here's what I started doing after that. Whenever anyone would invite me to a presentation, whether it be for an organization, a group of organizations, or even a conference, I'd always ask them a series of questions about my audience. And I want you to do the same thing. You want to ask additional questions like, has the audience had content like this before? How long ago did they talk about youth work, for example? How long ago were they talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion? Another question I love to ask folks when they bring me in is, what are the demographics of the participants I'll be facilitating to? As much information as you can possibly get from me, I'd love. I want to know the gender, the sex, the sexuality. Heck, I want to know your height. I want to know where you grew up. I want to know all the things about you because I want to be able to craft examples for you that are relevant to your life's experience and potentially your worldview and perspective. Another great question you want to ask is, how many people can I expect either at the conference as a whole, in my particular workshop, or on your teams? I want to know how many folks I'm thinking about, not just because I want to make sure I have enough materials for everybody, but I want to know how many people will be there because I want to make sure I know how to set the tables up if I have that option. I want to know how many groups I can expect that will determine a lot of different things as well. The last question I like to ask is, when we talk about who will be participating in the learning experience, I want to know is, how much information do they already have about this? Are we talking about folks who are experts looking to refresh, or looking to have a learning experience where they can exchange ideas? Are we talking about folks who have a medium amount of knowledge, right? Reasonable amount of knowledge. Maybe they've been doing it for 2 or 3 years and they're really looking for specific skill sets to be sharpened. Are we talking about novice, people who haven't been doing it for a while and they actually just want to be introduced to the content? That'll tell me how far down this I want to go, how deep and entrenched in the content I need to be, and the types of examples I need to have. See what I mean when I say you got to know your audience? It's oftentimes taken for granted that the audience is coming to hear us so they know what we're going to talk about. And while that may be true in some cases, you never want to take for granted your opportunity to meet your audience exactly where they are.